Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobby Capucci, and this is Daily Drop number 25. You believe it? 25 of them already? Seems like it's going by so quickly. Every single day, following the story, chasing down these leads, just following it wherever it goes. And today, we have a couple of good articles definitely going on today. The one that I've chosen for us to read through is from the Daily Beast. And the headline of this article is, Federal prosecutors are lining up witnesses against Jeffrey Epstein's cronies. So, sounds promising on the surface, right? Well, let's take a dive and see what we got. It's been more than 2 months since Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Allegedly. Not off to a great start there. But the investigation into possible accomplices is still very much alive. In recent days, federal prosecutors probing the financier... Wait, pause, breaks. The financier, you mean the pedophile? The pedophile's sex trafficking ring have been asking Epstein victims if they could serve as witnesses in the criminal case they are building. Well, that's pretty promising. So if the prosecutors are looking to make a move, well, obviously we support that. Let's hope they do the right thing. Representatives from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York traveled to Florida for an October 15th meeting with several of Epstein's victims and their counsel. The staffers who worked in the Victim Services Unit held a similar meeting in New York on October 23rd, Lawyers for the Women and law enforcement source told the Daily Beast. Two people familiar with the investigation said the prosecutors have heard from dozens of witnesses or victims since Epstein's arrest in July. That's funny. Dozens of witnesses. But none of the other high-profile people that hung out with him are witnesses, huh? I wonder why. I mean, either he was like a magician, Houdini, the way he hid things, or, well, I guess let everybody draw their own conclusions, right, and see where the evidence takes us. Following Epstein's death in August, which was ruled a suicide by hanging, the Department of Justice said that it would continue to investigate anyone who helped Epstein procure underage girls or helped him to cover up crimes. A spokesman for the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment on where the probe stands, only saying that the investigation is continuing. Spencer Coven, a Palm Beach attorney who represents two women who were abused by Epstein, said the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York offered counseling services to the group of victims who gathered in Miramar, Florida. The representatives also worked to debunk conspiracy theories which the victims have encountered online related to Epstein's jailhouse suicide. According to Coven, prosecutors continue to battle wild speculation on how the 66-year-old money manager died, along with rumors that he isn't dead at all. All right, pause. They could end all the speculation if they would release the video from that night. Just release the video from that night, be completely transparent, and that would go away. I think that people are right to ask questions in that situation. Let's be honest, the cameras break down, people that aren't supposed to be working are working, guards that are overworked are working, nobody checks on him, they move out his roommate, come on. There's a lot of there. As far as he's not dead, I really don't believe that. That's something, if that's the kind of storyline you're looking to hunt down, I really won't be talking about that around here. So, I mean, unless, of course, if you have evidence and you want to send it to me, I'll definitely look into it. The U.S. Attorney's Office wanted to put to rest some of those conspiracy theories that he was killed, that he's still alive. There are people still talking about that, Coven told the Daily Beast. There are still people that think this was an absolute ruse and he's sitting pretty in another part of the world. Nope, I definitely think he's dead. I don't think that the people he was running with would be letting him sit in another part of the world. Either he was they allowed him to kill himself, or something else occurred. I don't believe that the story that they're putting out is the true story. Coven said investigators assured the women that their probe into Epstein's alleged co-conspirators was ongoing. The lawyer declined to comment on the identities of those suspected accomplices. Well, we've talked about it at length here. We know for sure Ghislaine Maxwell. Definitely we know Ghislaine Maxwell. Some of the other girls that ran with them, Leslie Groff, Marchenko, that whole crew, the original crew that was named in the original affidavit. They wanted to meet with some of the victims to discuss whether or not they could be potential witnesses in the ongoing investigation, Coven said. One of my clients is going to meet with them privately about that issue. During the Florida meeting, coordinators for federal prosecutors answered questions from the women, some of whom felt burned over their treatment 12 years ago when the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami secretly negotiated a cushy plea deal for Epstein. Back then, the feds promised the women they'd prosecute the creepy multimillionaire. Instead, they collaborated with his legal team to downgrade the charges. Okay. Pause. So, in this article, these authors at the Daily Beast are, on one hand, talking about conspiracy theories, and then when they get to something that's an actual cover-up, they just blow right through it. Well, with his legal team to downgrade the charges. Why would they do that? Can we have more context? Can you dig deeper? It's unbelievable that you think that people are just going to accept this kind of reporting. Sheesh. The focus really is, what are you doing now, and are you honestly going to pursue the co-conspirators, or are those just words, Coven said. They've been wronged by the system numerous times, Coven added of his clients and other victims of Epstein. From the late 2000s all the way up to him killing himself, every time an official comes forward and says, don't worry, we're going to do the right thing, they shake their heads and say, well, we'll see. You know what, I can't disagree with that, because as we discussed at length on this program, the two-tier justice system is completely and utterly rigged for you and I never to win. What's the federal prosecution rate, like 98%? How's that even possible? So you're telling me that 98% of the time when the government brings a case against somebody, that person is guilty? I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Look at forget it. In New York last week, prosecutors met with victims at a federal building downtown where local FBI headquarters is housed to inform the women of their rights and offer counseling services. Duncan Levin, a former assistant U.S. attorney and chief of asset forfeiture at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, said Epstein's inner circle shouldn't rest easy. That's definitely promising, because we don't want them to rest easy, right? That's why we're here. We want these prosecutors to do their job, but we also want the media, if they're going to report on this, not to just scratch the surface, right? Give us some facts, like last night, sources, and this one, and that one, and experts, and no names, just experts and sources, and give me a break, come on. There is at least some evidence that other people facilitated his crimes, and there's obviously enough public interest in the case that prosecutors aren't going to drop it just because he's dead, said Levin, managing partner at Tucker Levin PLLC. Levin said prosecutors are likely to thoroughly investigate Epstein's properties that were used to facilitate the sex crimes. Well, yeah, you would think, right? I mean, what's going on at the Zorro Ranch? Have we heard anything about that? I saw some video earlier today that was posted to one of our message boards about two dudes who stormed Jeffrey Epstein's island. And that's some good work by those two dudes, that's for sure. I'm going to find that. I'll find that link and I'll post it later on tonight or tomorrow with the other drop. That way you guys could check it out if you haven't seen it. Or obviously you could probably just Google it and find it. A bare-bones rundown of Epstein's assets submitted by his lawyers following his arrest and bank records obtained by prosecutors provided a glimpse into Epstein's net worth, which is estimated at more than $550 million. But it may not be a complete accounting. The listed assets included $56 million in cash and another $500 million in properties and investments. And how much off the books? Since this guy was supposedly a mastermind at hiding people's money, how much money did he hide of his own off of the books? Who else was involved? Who moved the money? At what banks? What offshore managers saw the money? Who gave him the money? Who were his clients? Why are these questions not being asked or answered? The properties include $85 million worth of real estate in the U.S. Virgin Islands, including his own private island, an $8.6 million Paris apartment, a $12 million Palm Beach estate, a $17 million New Mexico ranch, and his Manhattan mansion, which Epstein claimed is worth $55 million, but prosecutors have said is worth $77 million. Okay, they failed to even mention the second island. So that just goes to show you the shoddy reporting that's going on here. Look, it's the Daily Beast, and I'll give them their just due for actually writing the article, but come on, a little bit of a deeper dive here, guys. You got a fairly lengthy article, and you're just scratching the surface. If you guys have been following the Daily Drops, this is all stuff we know already, right? They're not telling us anything we don't know. Justice is a slow-moving train, Levin said. This is par for the course. Investigations are measured in months and years, not days and weeks. Well, guess what? You are not going to wait us out, right? We're going to be here. We're going to follow it. Days, weeks, years, whatever it takes. You are not shaking us. I would be very nervous if I were somebody who helped Jeffrey Epstein at this point and would be seeking legal counsel, Levin added. Yeah, unless you're being hidden by whatever intelligence agency is stashing you away. Where's Ghislaine Maxwell? Where's Brunel? Where's the rest of the people that were involved in this stuff? We haven't heard a thing about any of it. Nothing. Epstein was arrested on July 6th and charged with sex trafficking and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. The indictment referred to 3 victims and 3 unnamed employees of Epstein who allegedly assisted in the sex pyramid scheme. The sex pyramid scheme? How about the sex trafficking operation, the rape of young girls? How about that? The sex pyramid scheme? Ugh. Repugnant. According to the complaint, Epstein created a network of minor victims in multiple states to sexually abuse and exploit, and worked and conspired with others, including employees and associates, who facilitated his conduct by, among other things, contacting victims and scheduling their sexual encounters with Epstein. All right, so bang, stop, dead stop. This is a RICO case. Once again, I don't know how many times I have to bang this home. This is a RICO case, and in fact, I'm going to be calling the Southern District of New York and talking to them about that and asking them if this would fall under their guidelines of a RICO case, or if that only happens if you're going after Italian people, or poor people, because this has all the hallmarks of a RICO case. This is corruption like you would not believe, and for them to just patsy their way through it and not slap every charge they possibly can at everybody involved is so maddening and so disturbing that our justice system could possibly let these people walk. From 2002 to 2005, the indictment states Epstein enticed and recruited minor girls as young as 14. Think about that for a minute, guys, girls, and everyone in between. 14 years old. You guys have sisters, you have daughters, you have cousins, friends who have daughters. 14 years old. You imagine the savagery of these disgusting people, and they're sitting home, still swimming around in their millions like Scrooge McDuck? Nah, nope, we're not accepting it. Sorry, we are not accepting that. All right? To visit his mansions and engage in sex acts with him, after which he or his assistants gave the victims hundreds of dollars in cash. Gee, you're real generous, huh? A few $100 for me to ruin your life. Now go ahead, go run along. Go do whatever it is back to your broken home. And if you go to the cops, nobody cares. They're not going to believe you. You're just some disadvantaged poor person you're a drug addict and you're a prostitute. And this is the kind of nonsense that these survivors have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. While the media is silent, while they just scratch the surface, while they don't really dig, and they don't go after the people that should be gone after. It's unclear which alleged co-conspirators prosecutors are targeting. In one July court filing, prosecutors requested a protective order indicating they plan to produce certain documents and materials that would impede, if prematurely disclosed, the government's ongoing investigations of uncharged individuals. In 2008, when Epstein pleaded guilty to state charges, his non-prosecution agreement with the feds granted immunity to his alleged accomplices, including, listen to this very clearly, okay? Please listen to this very clearly. Including, but not limited to, Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, or Nadia Marchenkova. Okay? So that means anyone else besides those listed who were involved get carte blanche. They're covered by this sweetheart deal that Mr. Dershowitz made with the state. How is that even possible? I mean, with the federal government. How is that even possible? Look, I've dealt with the federal government in my own life with some of my own family members. And trust me when I tell you, it's not that easy. 14 months, 13 months, dude's out of jail every 12 hours, has people visiting him, buying underwear while he's in jail. Who knows what the hell else he was doing? While you got people getting killed over buying Lucy cigarettes. There ain't no justice. Look, there is no justice left in the world, it seems like. And that's why people are in the streets all over the world. Chile, you name it, Hong Kong, Iraq, everywhere around the world, France, people are in the streets. They've had enough. Everybody's flipping the table over. Everybody's had enough. But eventually when it comes to America, and it's gonna come, if the justice system is proven to be something we can't have any faith in anymore, then what? What do we do then? They better do the right thing. They got to do the right thing. They have to restore faith in the Justice Department, in the justice system as a whole. Do I have confidence that that's coming? No. But at the same time, I will still hold them accountable and scream from every single rooftop and every soapbox that comes my way. Because I've had enough. I have had enough. This is what I do now full time. I'm following government corruption cases. I'm following this case, obviously. I have other things going on, but enough is enough. Groff's lawyer, Michael Bachner, previously told the Daily Beast, at no time during Leslie's employment with Epstein did she ever engage in any misconduct. They should all just hit that on repeat, because that's the case for all of them, right? Nobody ever engaged in misconduct. They didn't see any misconduct, blah, 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 blah. Attorneys for Marchenkova told CNN last month that she was a victim herself and is and has been severely traumatized. They added, she needs time to process and make sense of what she has been through before she is able to speak out. Look, now this is the one person that I have sympathy for in Epstein's atmosphere. According to reports, she was purchased by Epstein as a young girl, and she was groomed from a young girl into a woman and set up to be what she became. Now, does that absolve her of all of her responsibility? No, I believe in self-responsibility, but I also believe in having a bit of empathy for people that were victimized as well. Should she be punished? Yes. Should her punishment be as harsh as the rest of theirs? No, I do not think so. But that is not for me to decide. I'm not a jury. I'm not a judge. I'm just a radio host who's giving his opinion and reading the news. What do you guys think? Harsh punishment for her? Or does she get a little bit of a break because of her situation? You know, I always talk about keeping things in context, right? And this is where one of those situations where I think context is important. According to the report, Kellen's spokeswoman had a similar explanation. Very soon after Sarah was brought into Epstein's world, he began to sexually abuse her, and this abuse went on for years. Sarah continues to struggle with the trauma of her experience and has chosen not to speak publicly at this time. She's married to a NASCAR driver. She owns several businesses. How rough has her life been? See, I don't believe that. I don't think I have as much empathy for her as I do for Marchenkova. Of course, I'm always willing to change my mind and my standpoint if there's more evidence out there. If there's evidence that she was treated in the same way as Marchenkova, well, of course, like I said, she should not be as punished as harshly as someone, say, like Ghislaine Maxwell. Ross hasn't spoken publicly on the allegations. One lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe in September against Epstein's estate describes Kellen and Groff as a pair of adult employees who specifically facilitated his abuse. The women scheduled the girls' visits to Epstein's Manhattan mansion and often asked Doe to bring other girls with her, paying her every time she did so. Now look, if it was about prostitution, if this was about girls that were of age, that were engaged in prostitution, would I still think he's a scumbag for taking advantage of at-risk young girls? Of course. But would it be this heinous of a crime? No way. And that's where the blackmailing comes in. You see, somebody can survive a bit of a sexual run. I mean, look at Trump. Look at what's going on with Trump, right? With, the different women, the alleged affairs, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have an affair with another consenting person, okay, whatever, people can look past it. But if you're engaged in sex trafficking of a child or engaged in disgustingness behind closed doors with a child, boy, that's a whole different level of gross, right? That's a whole different level of trouble for you. You're not going to weasel your way out of that when the public gets a hold of it. It doesn't matter who you are. Meanwhile, Groff, a former assistant to Epstein, is facing a lawsuit from Jennifer Araz, who says that she was in high school when Epstein raped and abused her. A second assistant, Simberly Espinoza, is also listed as a defendant in the case. Arraz's complaint also targets Epstein's alleged Madam Ghislaine Maxwell, who's kept a low profile since the hedge funders, again with the hedge funders. It's almost disrespectful. He's not a hedge funder. Old boy is a rapist, a child molester, a sex trafficker. The worst things you could possibly be. Not a hedge funder. And has long faced accusations of recruiting underage girls and taking part in sexual abuse herself. Another lawsuit recently filed by Priscilla Doe alleges that in addition to providing sexual instruction, Ghislaine Maxwell further made sure that plaintiff and the other young females were constantly on call to sexually service Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell isn't the only Epstein friend under scrutiny in the press. Authorities in France are looking into sexual misconduct claims against talent scout, huh? How about another rapist, Jean-Luc Brunel, accused in civil court filings of procuring young models for Epstein to exploit. There was a story a while back that Brunel provided 3 14-year-old girls for Jeffrey Epstein. I believe, I want to say they were twins, maybe something like that, but I'm not too sure. So I just know there was 3 young girls that he supposedly provided for him for a birthday present. A birthday present. What do we have, meat markets? What is this, the Roman Empire? You people are disgusting. Absolutely, positively disgusting, and you must be stopped. Jeffrey Epstein has told me that he has slept with over 1,000 of Brunel's girls, and everything that I have seen confirms this claim, said accuser Virginia Joffrey in a 2015 affidavit. Joffrey says she was 16 when Maxwell recruited her into Epstein's trafficking ring. In response, Brunel issued a statement denying Joffrey's claims, saying he never participated directly nor indirectly in the actions Mr. Jeffrey Epstein is being accused of. Nope. Like I said, never did anything. Like the monkeys with the hands over the eyes, the mouth and the ears. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. We saw nothing. You people are stupid. We know that nothing's going to happen to us because we get away with whatever we want anyway. Poisoning your world, working people for 4 cents an hour in poor countries. It does not matter. We don't matter to these people. We do not matter to these people. All that matters is consolidating power and them being able to run around and doing whatever they want. Last year, Epstein may have attempted to buy the silence of alleged co-conspirators just as his name reemerged in the press. Typical, right? Isn't that a typical move these rich people make? Oh, well, my name's about to come out. You're going to put me on blast? Here's a couple hundred thousand. Sign this non-disclosure agreement. We're good, right? Nope, not this time. Not for rape, dude. Not for trafficking, dude. Maybe for a private relationship. Maybe I could buy that. But not for what you're involved in. Nope. Prosecutors say wire payments to 2 unnamed women, one received $250,000, while the other got $100,000 shortly after the Miami Herald's expose on Epstein's 2007 sweetheart deal. Those individuals were listed as possible co-conspirators in Epstein's non-prosecution agreement the U.S. Attorney's Office said in July. At a bail hearing that month, Assistant U.S. Attorney Alex Rossmiller told the court that after 7 days of this case being public following months of covert investigations, the evidence is already significantly stronger and getting stronger every single day. Yeah, no shit. Excuse my language, but it's only because of people like us. This isn't on the news anymore. They got way more important things to talk about. Who hates who? What politician hates the other politician? Who eats 3 donuts for breakfast? It's all so crazy. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is in flames. People are in the streets. The mainstream media stays on their one single goal, and they just pump it and pump it and pump it and pump it 24 hours a day. No real news is being put out. Nothing that is beneficial to our lives, besides maybe the weather report. And even then, they're wrong most of the time. Many individuals identifying themselves as victims and witnesses have contacted the government, Rossmiller continued, and we are in the process of receiving and corroborating this additional evidence. Brad Edwards, an attorney who sued the government on behalf of victims over Epstein's lenient plea deal, said, "I assume that if there are others that should be held accountable for crimes that can still be prosecuted, then they will." Edwards said that he trusts that New York prosecutors are trying to leave no stone unturned. Last month, U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara refused to scrap the non-prosecution agreement that shielded Epstein and his alleged co-conspirators from facing serious charges despite Mara's ruling that the agreement was illegal. Boy, that makes a lot of sense, right? Once again, the justice system makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. the agreement was illegal, but we're going to let it stand because, I was told that I better let it stand because, he belongs to intelligence. Isn't that what Acosta was told? He's on record saying it, not me. He said it to the Trump transition team, not me. We didn't make it up. Now he won't talk about it. These people, they need to be held to a higher standard. When you're in public office, you have a very important job. And if you're a prosecutor, you need to be a straight shooter. And that's the end of it. Mara also denied the victims' request for other relief, attorney fees, a hearing where victims could speak, and the release of documents including grand jury materials. I wonder why, Mr. Mara. The decision was part of a 2008 lawsuit Jane Doe's 1 and 2 filed against the United States, alleging the feds violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act. Courtney Wild, who has come forward as Jane Doe 1, has appealed to the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. Oral arguments are scheduled for January. You know what? Maybe I should try and get there. Maybe I should try and get there and cover this case, stay there for a week, and record live right from this case and see what they have to say. Because it's to the point now where I'm really getting angry because we can't rely on the actual print media to do the job for us. They're giving us the stories to go over each day. They're giving us a little bit of some breadcrumbs here and there, but it's really our job to put everything together. They're not putting anything together for us. A ruling rescinding the immunity provisions would have permitted the victims to confer with government prosecutors about the possibility of obtaining prosecution of Epstein's co-conspirators in the Southern District of Florida, i.e., would have afforded them their rights under the CVRA. Wild's appeal states. Look, I'm glad they appealed this. I hope if the appeals court doesn't see it their way, I hope they appeal all the way to the Supreme Court because this is something that needs to be changed. These people need to be prosecuted. If you were involved in this case, you cannot be shielded by that stupid immunity deal that was concocted in the dark of night like we're some kind of banana republic. It's infuriating that they get away with this sort of stuff while the rest of us have to follow the rules. Every day of our lives, we follow the rules. Don't jaywalk. Don't speed. Put on your seatbelt. Don't bash in the idiot's head who cut you off. Whatever it may be, we follow the rules. But these guys, not only do they work us to death with their nonsense and their bank bailouts and, their continual pillaging of the middle class, now that's not enough for them. The children of our societies are now in play. I guess they've always been in play. Let me go back. I guess they've always been in play, but now it's come to light. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not hip. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to live in a society that accepts that. And I'm not going to be quiet no matter what. I am not going to be quiet. I'm going to keep pushing forward. And with the support that I've been given from you guys on the show so far, I'll tell you what, we're becoming an unstoppable force. And we want answers, and I'm going to chase those answers down. Thanks, everybody, for joining me for another Daily Drop. We'll be right back at it tomorrow. And if anything else happens tonight, we get some more news. Maybe I'll drop another bonus drop for the evening, considering it's been a pretty important news day for our case. Anyway, hope everybody enjoys their night, and I will definitely talk to you tomorrow.